Here I am, more Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast. Brandon Walker from the SEC Country Studios. We're back on our normal time. Yesterday we went a little later, so we could. By the way, are we streaming on Twitter and everything today? Yes. We're streaming on everything. Okay, very good. We're streaming on Facebook Live. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on Twitter. Hey, next thing you know, we'll be streaming on everything. We're streaming through your toothbrush. So we are coming to you. Ha 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 ha! Jokes are funny, aren't they? Shut up. Now, we are coming to you from the SEC Country Studio here in Atlanta. I am him, Brandon Walker. Why am I not getting Landshark? Why am I not getting a stream up? We are streaming out, right?
I have it up on mine.
We are out there on Earth. Well, I would love to be able to talk to my people. I would absolutely love to be able to talk to my people. This new computer I got it doesn't work right. All right. Fantastic TV. Hey, there we go.
You figured it out?
I did. I'm
Nice.
not very bright, but I got it. Did Landshark button your shirt, says Martin Smith. No, she did not. My wife was home today. It is Ties Day, a Tuesday tie day here in the office, and I think I look very, very dashing today. I think I look handsome. That's what I think. Hail State from Prattville, Alabama, Pat Waldron Campbell. Russell Berry says, good morning, be well. Good morning, Russell. Watching in the wet Mississippi Delta, says Grace Thacker Good. Good morning, says Lynn Rhodes Gilmer. Mike Angelo checking in from South Carolina. I'm excited today because I got 8 SEC hot takes. So I'm going to talk about spring football for State, and I'm going to talk about women's basketball. But I'm also going to try to get ahead of this thing, as it'll be hot take season very soon, and people will be trying to decide who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. I'm going to get ahead of it. I got 8 hot takes. How do I get this off Facebook, says Harold D. Hurd. I don't understand the question. You can go to YouTube. We are streaming live on YouTube. Search SEC Country and Mississippi State, and it'll show up. It'll show up live, so you can go to YouTube and watch it. Good morning, Jennifer Tipton. Hail State from Houston, says Scott H. Chilton. Hail State from Browns Ferry Nuclear, Drew Newell. Browns Ferry Nuclear. Is that in North Alabama? Then maybe that's somewhere else. Hail State, excited this year is an understatement, said Justin Ryan Laird. Wearing Ole Miss colors? What's up? How is this Ole Miss colors? This is a maroon tie with a Mississippi State logo on it. How? Landshark, let's get in on the tie here. Let's get in on the tie. Look at that. It is, look at that. How is that Ole Miss colors? Somebody want to tell me that? A good-looking tie is what that is. It's a good-looking tie. Hey. Okay, you can get off the tie now. I've clearly moved on. All right, very good. Hail State from Hazelhurst, Michael Clyburn. Curious poll. How many former football players watch this show, says Kane Martin. I don't know that any former Mississippi State players watch. Yeah, I'm thinking Bagel, but maybe some.
Fred Smoot probably watches.
Fred Smoot watches, yeah. I talked to him this weekend. He watches. I think Dak watches every morning when he gets up. Checking in from the subway on County Line Road, says Lewis Williamson. Hail State from Murfreesboro, Dixon Alexander. Somebody just got a black Dak Prescott jersey. I bet that's cool. You know, when I went to Maroon & Company this weekend and I got my stuff from Maroon & Company, they had jerseys, and I wanted one real bad, but they were expensive. I felt bad getting those for free. I felt bad, so I didn't do it. I wanted a Dak jersey, though. And actually, you know what I wanted? I wanted hey, Maroon & Company, by the way, hey, I wanted some Dak Prescott Cowboys jerseys for my kids. That's what I wanted. Hail State from Rogers, Arkansas. Can MSU baseball dark horse their way into an SEC championship, says Eric Wiggins? I doubt it, but it's great that they have put themselves in a position to be competing. I mean, they can definitely make some noise down the stretch. SEC championship, I doubt it because, Florida's so good. But yeah, they're at least in the discussion now for meaningful postseason play, which is nice. You would have never seen that when we lost to Memphis the other night, but beating Arkansas 3 times kind of feels like it has changed the outlook of the season so far. Hail State from Franklin, Tennessee, Candy Solis Williams. Keith D'Angelo checking in from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Everybody out there on Twitter, everybody on YouTube, thank you. On today's show, we're going to talk, number one, we're going to wrap up spring football. We're going to talk about a couple things that I left on the table yesterday. We're going to talk about Joe Moorhead's offense. We're going to talk about a defensive back that I thought was impressive the other day. We'll talk about all that. Second topic today, my 8 SEC hot takes for this year. Now, it's a Mississippi State podcast, but we play in the SEC, and what happens in the SEC has a direct effect on Mississippi State. What's going to happen at LSU this year, and Auburn, and Ole Miss, and Alabama. We'll talk about that. My 8 SEC hot takes. Mississippi State hosted a big-time grad transfer visitor in women's basketball this weekend. We'll talk about that. And at the end of the show, the 2-minute drill with questions provided by me and not this gaggle of whatever over here that tried to do the questions yesterday. I apologize for that. That'll never happen again.
Wasn't me.
You participated.
I literally gave 0 questions.
You read the questions.
I read them, yes, but they're not my works.
Stephen Stafford and Laurel. Russell Berry says, don't forget to ring the bell. Thank you very much, Russell Berry. Hail State from Asheville, North Carolina. Joshua Easterling. I've got a couple of people in Asheville, North Carolina that watch this show. Is it true you're moderating a panel discussion between Stingray and Brandon Marcello on MSU athletics? That's
what I heard.
No?
Fake news?
That's fake news. Yeah, fake news. Play in Jackson tonight, Hail State. Matt Weisinger says, I'm sorry I'm so late. It's okay, Matt. Now we can start, though. Matt's here. It's 11:51. You guys good? Landshark, you're ready. Terp, you look, well, whatever. You ready?
Yep.
Do it.
It's the More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
That's me, Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. And we are, I think I just broke the table. We are officially ringing in here on a Tuesday, on a wet Tuesday in Atlanta, Georgia. It rains every day. It's cold every day because that's April in Georgia. Apparently, I don't know how it is where you are in Mississippi or Alabama or all points in between, but I am glad to be here from the SEC Country Studio. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook Live where we are streaming on all of those devices, you can see my desk. I've got it down to 5 cowbells. I think we've got a good presentation today. I've got, we'll rotate the cowbells in and out, but this is more cowbell. So we're going to have the cowbells front and center every single day, and there they are. Got the, got this bell right here. We got the lefty bell right here, and got a couple. This is the one I've owned since 1991, and I got this one this weekend, and Bonnie Williamson Gable gave me that one. Now, Steve C., by the way, gave me that one. Now, we are on a roll here on More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast, on a Tuesday. What are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about spring football. We'll go ahead and wrap that up. I left a couple of things on the table on yesterday's show. I was fired up. I was talking about Mississippi State football. I was fired up about Kylan Hill and Austin Williams and everybody, and I left some things on the table, so we'll clean that up today. Number 2 topic on today's show, my SEC hot takes for 2018. It's about to be hot take season where it's the summer and everybody's going to say things to try to get attention. Everybody's going to try to predict what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and get ahead of it. I'm going to go ahead and give you my hot takes today on the show, and we'll get that out of the way. Because, listen, this is a Mississippi State podcast, but anything that happens in the SEC has a direct effect on Mississippi State. Therefore, what happens at LSU with that terrible coach, what happens at Ole Miss with that even more terrible coach, those things affect Mississippi State. We'll talk about that. Number 3, Mississippi State women's basketball hosted a very important grad transfer prospect, Enriel Howard from Texas A&M. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. And last but not least, probably least, we'll have the 2-minute drill with 5 questions that I provide today. I'm sorry about yesterday when I turned it over to the flunkies. Today I'm taking control back over the 2-minute drill, and I will have your 5 2-minute drill questions today. Now, no Steve C. on the Facebook Live. I'm not featuring hot cakes. It will be hot takes. This is not the B&B show. This is More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast with Brandon Walker. All right. Speaking of, it's Ties Day. If you're watching me on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, you see this beautiful maroon tie that I got at Maroon Company on Highway 12 right behind Chick-fil-A in Starkville. Also got this bell, and I got this bell. There's the tie. There's the tie right there with the Mississippi State logo. So Maroon & Company, check it out. I got a bunch of great gear at Maroon & Company. You'll get lost in there. Go to maroonandco.com. You'll get lost on that website, I promise you. I've spent hours on that website. Not spending any money because I don't have any, but if I did, I would have spent it all. Now, on today's show, spring football is over, and it was a heck of a spring. 15 practices, 1 spring game for Joe Moorhead. The Joe Moorhead era is pretty much underway. It's unofficially underway as Mississippi State has its spring game. I thought it was a very good spring game. I thought we saw what we wanted to see. We saw a huge crowd, broke the record. Had Dak there, had Jonathan Banks there, had a lot of former players there. It was a great environment, a great atmosphere. I talked about all that yesterday. Let's go ahead and clean up what I left on the table. A couple of things that I didn't mention on the show yesterday, and I want to go ahead and hit that. I want to go ahead and hit those topics. I want to talk about Brian Cole. Brian Cole is a safety prospect. He signed with Mississippi State out of JUCO last year. He redshirted, just like Chauncey Rivers, just like Jaquarius Landrews. He redshirted, and now he's ready to play. He's got 2 years left at Mississippi State. And with the departure of Brandon Bryant, who was a safety at Mississippi State, had a great redshirt freshman season, kind of tailed off the last couple of years. He is now no longer on the team. With the departure of Brandon Bryant, somebody like Brian Cole stepping up and grabbing one of those important safety spots, because we have 2 pretty good starters. Mark McLaurin led the SEC in interceptions last year. Nobody in the SEC outside of Starkville even knows that. Jonathan Abrams, a very good player. I like him at safety. Those 2 safeties are good, but you need 4. You need at least 4. And Brian Cole, I thought the other day, really looked good, blitzing off the edge. He really looked good in pass coverage. I thought Brian Cole really looked like a player at safety, and he is somebody that if he steps up and gives us that extra depth at safety, and when you take out those top 2 guys or when you add in a third safety on the field, if it's Brian Cole, I think State's in good shape. He looked like a football player. He looked like a really good football player for Mississippi State. Marcus Murphy the same way. If he, by enrolling early and by going ahead and learning the safety position and by going ahead and getting the college reps and learning the system, if he can play this year at safety, that's all the better. Because defensive back, while I don't think it's a weakness of Mississippi State, when you look on a team that's got strength after strength after strength, you would have to say defensive back is not one of the 2 or 3 best strengths on this team. And in the losses last year, defensive backs struggled. They didn't struggle in every game, but in the losses, they struggled. If we can get that position shored up, it's very, very important. And I think Brian Cole looking good the other day was a huge step forward for Mississippi State. The second thing I didn't talk about yesterday, and I meant to, the offense itself. We know that Dan Mullen is gone. He's in Florida. They'll be running quarterback dive on 3rd and 3 every single time. He's in Florida. He's in Gainesville. So now Joe Moorhead is here. He had the exciting offense in Penn State for a couple of years. What does the offense look like compared to what it used to look like? Now, it's not all that different. Still going to be a lot of read options. Still going to be some quarterback runs. We didn't see a lot of that in the spring game because why would you do that? But still going to have that. But as far as the passing game goes, that's where it looks the most different. Every route, I thought, every pass play was not the boring, same old thing we've seen for years. Everything was down the field. Everything was down the field. And every route had, or every pass play had routes going 15, 20, 25 yards down the field. And that's different. That is different. Keaton Thompson was slinging it. He wasn't all that comfortable at first in the first 2 drives, but after that, he was slinging it down the field. We were throwing deep. We were throwing intermediate. We weren't just throwing, 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage to Arius Williams. We weren't just throwing these short passes. We weren't throwing these short slants. We were throwing down the field. Now, that was Keaton Thompson. Nick Fitzgerald obviously wasn't there. Obviously wasn't playing because of his injury. But I really feel like with the addition of Guidry at receiver, Devontae Jason at receiver, and maybe the emergence of Austin Williams, who looked fantastic, the opportunity to throw the ball down the field is going to be there because you've got talent at wide receiver, and then you throw in Joe Moorhead who wants to throw it down the field, and I think you've got something very exciting cooking for Mississippi State. If you can start hitting those 20-yard passes, something Mullen really never was able to do in the last couple of years after Dak left, if we can start hitting those 20-yard passes, if we can start incorporating that in the offense, that's going to open things up for Kylan Hill and Arius Williams and the running quarterback, whoever it is. I really liked the look of the offense. It seemed like they were taking advantage of the field more. It seemed like they were more spread out and creating more space. My favorite route of the whole game was I was watching Austin Williams caught it. And it was only about a 5-yard pass, but what happened was there was a wheel route that a tight end ran down the field and cleared out. Everybody went with the tight end, and Austin Williams is standing there by himself. Caught it 5 yards and ended up gaining 15. It was a beautiful route. It was a beautiful play, and I want more of that. So I'm still very excited about spring football. What has happened to my computer? My computer is updating itself. This is a bad time to update yourself, computer. Hi. This is good TV. So, second topic, SEC hot takes. The hot takes of the SEC. Listen, Mississippi State, I think I've told you time and again on this show, I think Mississippi State is 10-2. I think they're a 10-2 team this year. By the beginning of the season, I might switch to 11-1. That's what I think. I'm going with a loss at Bama, and then I'm just using a floating loss somewhere. So that's kind of what I'm at right now. I'm at 10-2. If I get froggy, I might go 11-1 by the beginning of the season. But that's what I think about Mississippi State. Everybody knows what I think about Mississippi State. They know I think we've got a great team coming back. Let's get into what I think about other teams in the SEC. And number one, I'm going to start with LSU. Here's my hot take about LSU. At best, LSU is a 6-6 team in 2018. They have the worst coach in the SEC. They have no quarterback. They have no tailback. They have no wide receivers that have ever made a difference. Their offensive line is just okay. That offense has potential to be terrible. Not bad, not mediocre, terrible. And when you don't have a quarterback and you don't have running back, you don't have receivers, you at least need a coach who can make up for it, who can teach them quickly. They don't have it. They don't have it. How LSU, a top 10 job in this country, decided to give their job to that man on the screen, I'll never, ever know. But until they get serious about football again, you can write off LSU for being 10-2 and 11-1 and what they've been used to. Now, every SEC media member will vote LSU third in the West or second in the West, or they'll vote LSU high. But if you just look at this, they're not going to be a good football team. Mississippi State will walk into Baton Rouge and win this year in 2018. Look at their schedule. They have a stretch at Florida, then they have Georgia at home, then they have Mississippi State at home, and that's not even their most difficult stretch. Their SEC road games are at Auburn, that's a loss, at A&M, that's a loss, at Florida, Dan Mullen's going to beat them, and at Arkansas. Now, they'll beat Arkansas because Arkansas is really, really bad. But outside of Arkansas, who are they going to out-coach? Who are they going to outplay? Who are they going to out-quarterback? Nobody. I've kind of said the last couple of years my formula for picking a game is give me the best coach and the best quarterback combination. If you have a really good quarterback, maybe your coach doesn't have to be as good. If you have a really good coach, maybe your quarterback doesn't have to be as good. Hi, Alabama. But the combination of Ed Orgeron and whoever they put at quarterback is wretched. It's embarrassing. Number 2, Auburn is Mississippi State's most important competition in the West. Their defense is very good. Mississippi State is bringing back a tremendous defensive line, a tremendous defense, and it might not be as good as Auburn. Auburn is going to be very, very good defensively. Alabama's going to be good defensively. Mississippi State's going to be good defensively. It is not a good year to be breaking in a quarterback in the SEC West. But Auburn does have some holes. They lost their running backs. Their offensive line doesn't look all that great. They have no wide receivers. But I still think Auburn or Mississippi State, that is your battle for second in the West, and it's in Starkville this year. Number 3, Florida is going to be better than people think. Now, I know we're on a Mississippi State podcast, and I'm supposed to not say complimentary things about Dan Mullen, but for the first time in several years, Florida will be competently coached. They'll be coached by a staff that knows what they're doing. And there's more talent at Florida than Jim McElwain ever let anybody know. He was a terrible coach, and he hid some of the talent. They had some suspensions last year. Jordan Scarlett's back. They've got other players back. There's talent on that team. They're not going to beat Mississippi State in Starkville. They're not going to beat Georgia this year. But I don't see any other SEC games that I just automatically count as a loss for Florida. They have South Carolina at home. I guess that's their other competitor in the East. Tennessee's going to be a train wreck. Kentucky's awful. Vanderbilt's awful. I just don't see a whole lot of challenge. I think Dan Mullen's going to win 9 games in his first year in Florida. I think he's going to win 9 games. But he's still not going to recruit at a high level, and Florida's going to run him off in a couple of years anyway. Number 4, South Carolina will be the most overrated team based on preseason hype. South Carolina is getting hype commensurate, very, very parallel to Mississippi State. South Carolina went 9-4 last year, and that masked the fact that they were a terrible football team. They were not good. They were not a good team. They lost to Kentucky. They lost to A&M. Two bad football teams. South Carolina's getting all this hype, and they're coached by Will Muschamp. They're not going to be that good. They are by far the most overvalued team in the SEC this year. Number 5, Georgia will be a much worse football team this year, but they could still go 11-1 or better. They won't be as good as last year when they probably should have won the national championship. Probably should have won it. But they lost so much on defense. You know, Jake Fromm is going to be by himself, not going to have them great running backs behind him. And I just don't know if he's that good of a quarterback. But Georgia has already created distance between themselves and the rest of the East. They're already much better than the rest of the East. They're probably going to go 11-1 based on the talent differential alone. And this will be their worst team in the next 5 years because the way he's recruited, he's going to be back to competing for a national title in 2019. I just think in 18, they're not going to be nearly as good, but they'll still go 11-1 and win the East. Number 6, Ole Miss will be better than we want, but that defense might be one of the top 5 worst in the country. The defense was terrible last year. It was awful, and they lost their good players off of it. They lost Marquise Haynes. They lost Braylon Speaks. They lost the best players off an awful defense. That defense will probably be the worst in the SEC, maybe one of the worst in the country. But they're still going to go 6-6. I think they'll go 6-6 because, you know, they'll beat Arkansas. I think they got South Carolina at home. I just told you I think South Carolina is very overvalued. I think get Matt Luke off the screen. I know that you're putting SEC teams on the screen because I'm talking about them, but I don't want to see him. It just throws me off. So, yeah, I think Ole Miss will be 6-6, but that defense will be just awful. Number 7, the next 2 coaches fired in the SEC will be Ed Orgeron and Gus Malzahn. I've already told you that LSU is a top 10 job. Why they hired Ed Orgeron, I'll never know, but they've got to fix that, and they got to fix it soon. And Gus Malzahn, I think, is doing a decent job at Auburn. I just think Auburn fans are getting tired of him. I think Auburn fans are just ready for a divorce there. Maybe not for anything he's done. It just feels like that relationship, to me, feels like it's going to end soon. I think those are the next 2 coaches that get fired in the SEC West. And last hot take from the SEC, this kind of involves Mississippi State. Mississippi State dodged a bullet by not hiring Jeremy Pruitt, who is going to be an absolute disaster at Tennessee. His first spring, he couldn't get through his first spring game without turning on his fans, without calling his players quitters. Now, there's one thing for being frank and candid. There's another thing for just shooting yourself in the foot before you even get out of the gate. He had 60,000 fans there, or they reported 60,000 fans. So basically, you spit in their face, and you spit in your player's face. I think Jeremy Pruitt's going to be a disaster at Tennessee. Absolute awful. And that was when Mississippi State was hiring. I sat on this show and said, we should hire Jeremy Pruitt because I thought he could come in and recruit at a high level, and I was scared Joe Moorhead couldn't, but I was wrong. Actually, I didn't know the name Joe Moorhead yet, but I was wrong. And Jeremy Pruitt, I don't think is cut out. He might be cut out to be a head coach, but Tennessee's a lot different. Getting hired to be the Tennessee coach is like getting hired to manage a Sears. You can probably be successful, but you gotta pretend it's the 90s. It's gonna be tough. Enriel Howard is a grad transfer from Texas A&M, women's basketball player, averaged 12 points, 12 rebounds last year, one of the best rebounders in the SEC. She visited Mississippi State. She got 1 year left. And listen, Mississippi State has an opening this year they got an opening for players. Losing so much off this team, they'll still be very good. You still got Tiara McCowan, and if you could get her some rebounding help, wow, you could really, really help her out. And Enriel Howard, with this team coming back next year, would be a perfect fit and would immediately solve a problem for Mississippi State. Because really, as far as rebounders go, you got Tiara McCowan and not much else. But if you had two of the elite, probably the 2 best rebounders in the SEC on the same team, boy, that's really strong. That's really strong. She tweeted out that she, or 24/7 Sports wrote a story that she was very impressed on her visit. They were very happy about their visit. Something to watch. If Vic Schaefer convinces Enriel Howard to come to Mississippi State, it really boosts Mississippi State's women's basketball team for next year. Obviously, it still hurts from what happened a couple of weeks ago. We'll move on past that. But women's basketball is going to look different in 2018-19. It's not going to be a national title contender, but I think it's still a top 10, 15 team. I think you're bringing in great talent, a high 4-star from Virginia, a couple of 5-stars, one from the coast, one from Georgia. You're bringing in great talent. You probably just need a year to get it to gel, and Anariel Howard would be a great bridge for that to happen. 2-minute drill. Number 1. You know how this works. Facebook Live, I come to you, I ask you these 5 questions. Now I can't see my Twitter audience, I can't see my YouTube audience, but if you want to tweet your answers at me, that'd be great. Number 1, give me your hottest take in SEC football in 2018. What is your hottest opinion about SEC football in 2018? Go ahead and give that to me, please. Your hottest take for 2018 football. As Terp leans back and yawns because he's working so very hard over there. Landshark just smiling, just smiles the whole time. Give me your hottest take for SEC football in 2018. Sinbad says LSU is better than us at what? Football? That's your hottest take, that LSU is better than Mississippi State? Well, they're not going to be a better coach. They're not going to have a better quarterback. They're not going to have a better running back. They're not going to have better receivers. They're not going to have a better offensive line. But other than that, they look really good. 2 losses for Alabama, says David Wallace Laird. My wife says Mississippi State wins it all because that's my wife. It's a beautiful woman. Devontae Jason leads MSU in receiving yards. John Kelsey says Alabama will lose 3 games. Wayman Hodge says State wins in Tuscaloosa. Joseph Pollard says Auburn isn't that good. Kevin Wright says, I'm with you on Florida. Dan Mullen will have that offense in the top half of the SEC. I don't think Bama will live up to the hype, says Trey Adcock. I think they'll lose 2. Martin Smith says MSU will win the West. Marcus Murphy, Colin Hill are breakout stars, says Kenny Manning. I keep hearing LSU making Mississippi State. Oh, I missed that one. Say it again, Landon Miles. Tua will win the Heisman, says Ethan Fleury. Ole Miss is a bunch of crybabies, says D. Curtis. That's not really a hot take. Fitz throws for 3,000 yards. Chris Wilson. Will from Point City. SEC winner will have 1 or 2 losses, says Russell Berry. Well, that's pretty much every year. At least 1 loss every year. Alabama QB will be overrated. Chad Edwards, that's very, very probable. Stoops will be fired at the end of the season before Coach O, says Kevin Wright. Yeah, I didn't think of Stoops. I was really thinking about the West. I think if LSU is smart, they fire Coach Orgeron, Coach O at the end of the season. MSU has another 1 ranking year at some point this season, says Paula Smallwood Dobbs. Austin Williams leads MSU in reception. Sean Barker. Errol Thompson leads the SEC in tackles. Harvey Smith. All right, good stuff. Number 2. I don't remember number 2. Derp, I wish you would read these for me. Number 2. What's your favorite month? What is your favorite month? Go ahead, Derp.
May.
Why is May your favorite month?
It's my birthday month.
Uh-huh.
First off, it's kind of the start of summer. May. Yeah. Weather's getting warm.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's on vacation.
Usually the weather gets warm in April, but I think April forgot to happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
April decided to be February.
Mm-hmm.
June, says Martin Smith. Ginger Tuck says June. He's got a couple of votes for June. October for Stephen Stafford. May for Tim Doss. What a weird question. May is my birthday month too, says Joseph Pollard. Okay, everybody, there's 31 days in May. There's however many days there are in May. There could be a lot of birthdays here. September, October, September, because that's when football starts, says D. Curtis. July, Matt Armstrong. And March. March Madness is the best sporting event, and it's my birthday month, says Connor Riley. Good for Connor Riley. October, May, November. Scott H. Shilson likes November because deer season opens. December because everyone is happy. Now, real quick, reverse gears. Same question. What's your least favorite month? What is your least favorite month?
February.
Yeah,
Nothing good happens in February.
I would say January or February.
Oh, well, January got the excitement of the new year. Had some resolutions.
Yeah, but that's done after the first or second.
But it's still in January.
January lasts 65 days. January is the longest month of the year. It is by far the longest month. August August not a great month?
I like August.
You like August?
Temperature starts to change, a little cooler.
Yeah,
sweatshirts.
yeah, but you realize summer's about to end and the kids go back to school and it's just
It is.
I guess football season's coming. And August, by the way, the temperature's not changing in August. Temperature doesn't change until September, October. February, January, July, and August, too dang hot, says Kenny Manning. February. A lot of people don't like February. March, no holiday. It's usually cold. Boo. I can't say March because of the NCAA tournament. I love it so much. Number 3, which decade would you most want to live in? Which decade would you most want to go back and live in? Which decade?
Landshark says 90s.
Landshark says the 90s.
I was also.
I think I think the 90s is back is when that outfit was still in style. Terp, count it. Did you see that?
Got him.
Okay, serious business. No, you look great. Which decade? 80s best music, says Eric Wiggins. Abby Lauren says 80s. I have the big hair for it. Andy Fowler would go back to the 90s. 80s. Boy, a lot of people want to go back to the 80s. A lot of people want to go back.
I'll do like 50s or something.
Then go back to the future.
Something different.
Kenny Manning says 1950s. You would not do well in the 50s, Terp.
What?
You would not do well in the 50s.
What's that?
You just wouldn't. 70s, 90s, 70s because of the music. Danny E. Pinter. 50s for Jeremiah Body. Jeremiah Body's. I'm not reading that. 2020's domination of state sports, says Adam Harper. There you go. That's a good attitude. I would probably choose between 1988 and 1998. It's when I was 9 to 19. No, I would go later. I would go like 94 to 2004. That takes me from 15 to 25. That's the prime of your life. Well, not for me because I have a beautiful wife and 4 wonderful kids. Number 4, pancakes or waffles.
Either.
Pancakes or waffles. You don't get to talking again. Landshark, what do you think? Pancakes or waffle? She says pancakes.
If I had to pick one, I would pick pancakes.
Well, you have to pick one.
Pancakes, but they both are garbage.
Pancakes or waffle? Sean Barker says waffles. Pancakes from Eric Wiggins. Waffles from Joseph Pollard. Pancakes. Boy, it's waffling back and forth. Hey. Pancakes, waffles. Boy, it's close. Pancakes, 4-3. Pancakes, 5-3. Pecan pancakes. John Stringer has to get technical on us. Boy, pancakes have run away with it. Pancakes. I go waffles. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. First of all, I like butter. I like butter on a hot pancake or waffle. And I like syrup. And pancakes, the butter it slides off too easily. And I'm always trying to get it back, and I get my fork, and the syrup's falling off the plate. Waffles hold the syrup, and they hold the butter. Don't run all over your plate. The butter doesn't try to escape.
Yeah, but it holds in one little square.
No, if you know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, you can apply it wherever you need.
Spread on a pancake.
Yeah, but the butter just tries to dive off the pancake. Like the butter gets on top and everything seems good, and you look over here, Jerry and them, and then you look and your butter is gone. It is dived off the pancake. And number 5, what's your favorite Mississippi State uniform of all time? What is your favorite Mississippi State uniform of all time? Not you guys. You guys don't know.
The one they wore on Saturday.
It's the only one you've ever seen?
I didn't even see it, so yeah.
You can apply butter to pancake if you know what you're doing. Oh, I know what I'm doing when it comes to butter, Tim Doss. All right, you're not going to challenge my knowledge of putting butter on food. All right. By the way, I went to the gym last night. When I was working out in January, I was at like 285. Last night, I was 277.
Ding, ding.
Yay. Baseball, maroon pinstripes. Steven Stafford, any sport. Eric Wiggins said baseball, maroon pinstripes. All maroon with maroon matte helmets, says Sean Barker. I like the all white, says D. Curtis. Baseball pinstripes with Mississippi State overlapping, Philip Owen. 80s baseball pullover. That's a good one, Steve Martin. That is a good one. Football, maroon jersey, gray pants, maroon helmet. I think I like. I prefer the white pants to the silver pants. I like the chrome helmet Egg Bowl uniforms, Joseph Pollard. I like the cream basketball jerseys. I like the silver basketball jersey. Somebody has put a link. That's a good one. Gold and maroon at the 2013 Egg Bowl. Uniform when we went to UMass, says Martin Smith. They were at Maroon & Company. They had the American jersey that we wore against Texas A&M. Boy, that looked good. Men's basketball all white, says Grace Thacker. Good. There you go. There you go. Have I run over? Yep, I've run over time. That's 3 days in a row I've gone over time. Okay, that's a fun 2-minute drill. Thank you for participating. Thank you for playing along. Thank you for being here. I'm going to drop the podcasters off right now. I'm going to stay with my Twitter and YouTube and Facebook audiences. Podcast audience, thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. My name is Brandon Walker. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. All right. I knew the uniform question would get them going. State fans love to talk about uniforms. I generally don't care about uniforms. They can wear black. They can wear whatever they want. I just like watching Mississippi State. I never really get into uniforms, but I do know that State fans love to talk about uniforms.
What is the best uniform ever?
I don't know. I think
Denver Nuggets rainbow.
In all sports.
Yes. Or the Raptors.
I hate to. I like those too. First of all, uniforms in the 80s and 90s were just much better than they are now.
Agreed.
They're so boring now. The old school New England Patriots, which I hate the Patriots, but the logo with the guy on the side of the helmet and then the red, I think those were really good. Best uniforms ever. That's a great question. A fantastic question. Phoenix Suns back in the early 90s. I love them. I love their uniforms.
The sun or comet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we have a new uniform for the Moorhead era, says James King. Well, it seems like these days, in the Adidas days, we have a new uniform every week anyway. So I would assume we will. Worst MSU uniform? Asked Russell Berry. I don't know the answer to that question. I know some of you will want to answer that. Like, I don't mind the black uniforms. I don't mind the all-black baseball. I don't mind the all-black basketball. Best NFL uniform is the 1990s St. Louis Rams. 2 people in a row said that? Oh, no, just one person. Joseph Pollard says, are you the most famous Point City person of our generation? I think it's me and Eris Williams. And probably me. Probably me. Boy, who would have predicted this back in 1995 at Oak Hill Academy and West Point High School? I think we should keep the current football uniform, Stephen Stafford. Worst unis, 2004, 2008 Croom era, Russell uniforms. Yeah, those were interesting. I guess if I think of my favorite Mississippi State uniform, the quintessential uniform to me in football, I think of Jackie's days back in 98, 99 with that helmet, with that logo on the helmet. That's what I think of when I think of Mississippi State. That's probably my favorite Mississippi State football uniform of all time. Martin Smith says Marcus Murphy will end that streak for you. He might. I'm going to keep getting more famous, though. I mean, I'm on More Cowbell right now, but next year I'm probably going to be on even more Cowbell. So think about that. I found a nice pair of shorts at your mom's house. They look just like long pants on me, says Junior Ray. That sounds like he's making a joke. But Junior Ray is actually my mom's husband's brother, so he probably did find some shorts. Did I leave my shorts, my good gray shorts there? I was there this weekend. What about the Houston Astros orange banded jersey from the 70s, 80s? I loved them. 2 best uniforms are military appreciation and whiteout from Nick Stevens. As long as we keep the 2-stripe sleeve and never do the shoulder stripe again, we're good, says Corey Dickey. See, that you're getting into the weeds there. I don't care if it's 2 stripes, 1 stripe, 8 stripes. Shoulder sleeves are not really something that I'm getting into the weeds on. Joseph, he got dunked on at West Point. That is fake news, Tim Doss. Absolutely fake news.
I can see it.
No, you can't. Brown and yellow Padres uniforms were terrible. Yeah, but late 80s when they went to the pinstripes, they were really good. trying to think. I'm a sucker for the 80s Atlanta Braves uniforms, the all blues. I'm a sucker for those. They're terrible looking, but that's when I love the Braves the most. Original Buccaneers uniforms are not good, says Toby Denton. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the orange, the creamsicles. Hated the vertical stripes on the sleeves. Well, can we stop talking about sleeves? I'm not worried about the sleeves. I just look at the whole thing. Governor's Cup thoughts. I would like to win it. Flint Williamson. I would like Mississippi State to win the Governor's Cup. Seems like we got a lot of momentum right now. It would be nice to keep it. Plus, well, how many have we won against Ole Miss? 6 out of the last 7, 9 out of the last 10, something like that. Really like owning them, so that'd be nice. What is worse, being a Land Shark fan or a Terps fan or both? Being a Land Shark fan. Not even close.
Terps are nice.
Well, I don't care about turtles, but I just can't imagine being a fan of a team that runs around doing this all day. Could you imagine doing that? A grown person walking around doing this? Where is Anthony's located in Point City? Thank you, Kay Anderson. These are the questions. I don't know if you're coming from the north or the south, but you get on Main Street in West Point. If you're coming from Starkville, you take a right onto Main Street, and it is about 0.4 miles down on the right. The first cluster of downtown buildings, you know what downtown buildings look like in small-town Mississippi. The first cluster of those, Anthony's is right there, right before the red light. All right, everybody's asking if Lamar Peters is gone. I don't know. I will say that it doesn't sound good, but we'll see. What's your favorite dish at Anthony's? Joseph Pollard, another good question. This weekend I had the Creole ribeye. I had never had it. It was delicious. I usually will get the special, but if just what's my favorite dish, I just like getting the ribeye. The ribeye at Anthony's with an appetizer of fried crawfish tails. Although this week I got the fried oysters. Whoa. What are you looking at me like that for?
Nothing.
No, say what you're going to say.
I was going to say anything.
Say what you're going to say. When I said fried crawfish tails, you got a sour look on your face. What?
Don't they have like shells?
The tail does not have a shell.
Oh, how am I supposed to know that?
They pull the tail out
And they fry it?
and they fry it.
Is it good?
Yes. It's delicious.
Dip it in anything?
Remoulade.
Okay. I think I know what that is.
Yeah, I had fried oysters this weekend. What is Anthony's? It's the restaurant, best restaurant in the Golden Triangle, probably the state, in West Point. Do they have like a grouper with a pecan sauce? John Stringer. John Stringer, you love pecans. Your favorite pancake was pecan. Your favorite fish is grouper with pecan sauce. You are a pecan-loving man. I don't know. I don't know if they have grouper on the menu. It might be a special every now and then. Creole ribeye and shrimp and grits are the best at Anthony's. Katitra Clark. That's exactly what I had the other day. The exact order I had.
What made it Creole?
A Creole sauce. They drizzle a sauce on there, and they put 3 blackened shrimp on top of it. Oh, God, yeah. Roger Hale Morris says somebody is such a dork. I'm sure he's talking about Turpin, not me. How many Twitter beefs did your hot takes start? No, I don't know. I haven't been able to check Twitter. It could be blowing up right now. Terp just wants to know if they have chicken tenders, says Kevin Wright.
Big chicken tenders guy.
I bet. You need help. You need new help if he doesn't know the crawfish tails don't have shells on them. Yeah, I know, Peyton. I know.
I've never been anywhere close to Mississippi, so.
Okay, yeah, because that's the only place in the world that has crawfish tails.
Why would I want to eat? Isn't it like known for that? I've never been to Louisiana either, or west of Alabama.
I went to a restaurant in Ackworth a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. You know what I had for an appetizer? Crawfish tails.
Were they good?
They weren't as good as Anthony's,
exactly.
But they were good.
Why did I get them here?
Stuffed filet is amazing. Says Matt Weisinger. God, I love when we talk about food. Maryland is famous for shellfish. Same thing.
Crabs and football.
No, not football.
Crab cakes and football.
That's what Maryland
Maryland
does.
best.
What's for lunch today? I am trying to get back in shape. I went to the gym yesterday. I see it I'm probably going over to Cox Cafeteria where they have a fish counter, and I'll probably get some sort of fish. And
Actually sounds kind of good.
yeah, right.
I haven't had fish in a while.
I might go get grouper or the salmon.
It's good over there.
It's good. Yeah, everything's good over there.
Mm.
What have you had that's not good over there?
Philly cheesesteaks pretty bad. Pasta's overrated. It's like okay.
Okay. Did you make it to the spring game? Yes, Jerry Gardner, I did. I was there, had a good time. Thank you for asking. Sending my app in, Mr. Walker. You need better help, says Adam Harper. Hey, listen, Adam, I
do need an assistant.
I'll interview you. Assistant to the Terp.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Landshark is freaking out, and she's doing this thing over there. So it's time to go. I have to get off camera now, unfortunately. My name is Brandon Walker. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow to talk Mississippi State sports and whatever else you guys want to talk about. Until then, again, I'm Brandon Walker. This has been More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.